What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking our 5 favorite mid-round running back values for this 2024 fantasy football season. So sit back, relax. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We'll do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. And as I said, at the start of this video, this is all about those great mid-round running back values. So what that means is like probably starting in the 5th round throughout the 8th, 9th round as far as the running back position is concerned per current 2024 fantasy football drafts and rankings. These are the best values at that position where if you draft one of these guys, they have huge upside and can really over-deliver on expectations. So, we've got our current Fantasy Pros draft rankings for the 2024 season pulled up right now based on a PPR format as of, late June. So keep that in mind. But enough of that. Let's get into it with the first name on our list. And we're going to do a little bit of scrolling as I mentioned because, we're going to start with kind of in the middle round. So the first name that I want to highlight here is one Aaron Jones, now of the Minnesota Vikings. And Aaron Jones comes in here as running back 18. He's somebody that I can pretty easily get as my RB2, like around the 5th, 6th round, depending on the size of your leagues. 63rd overall player here. Via this Fantasy Pros PPR format. So again, that kind of lines up late 5th round, early 6th round. And with Aaron Jones, I just look at the situation, right? And yes, the Minnesota Vikings are going to be a different offense. It's going to be very different because Kirk Cousins will not be there. But Aaron Jones, to me, he was signed as the top overall guy for Minnesota. And we saw what he can do in Green Bay. Now, he was banged up last year, but when he was healthy, he was efficient, and he was still putting in work, not only as a rusher, but as a pass catcher. And look, man, if there's any team that should have faith in Aaron Jones and, that you like to see that he ended up signing with, I would say it should be a divisional opponent because the Vikings very familiar with Aaron Jones throughout the last couple of years, and the fact that they went, signed him, paid him, made him their number one tells you that they still think he can do something for them. And yes, he would be lower on my rankings if this was purely standard scoring, but he brings so much to the table as as a pass catcher. I'm not really afraid of the running backs here that the Minnesota Vikings have. Like the reason why last year there were random names here, kind of giving you production is because Alexander Mattison ended up being, what a lot of people feared. And that was, kind of just a filler, just a guy. And he was not fantasy relevant. So there were a lot of different opportunities behind him. But what Aaron Jones is a proven commodity. What Aaron Jones is consistent. And I think that whether it's probably going to be Darnold under center, like he's not afraid to distribute the football. We saw that during his days in Carolina, in wherever the case might be. That's kind of where we saw him last with the biggest opportunity of starting experience. He was getting the ball out there to his running backs. I think he will do the same here. Jones will be the starter, and sure, this might be kind of one of those last seasons where we see of Aaron Jones in terms of fantasy relevance, but I think we can get one more last year of solid play for Aaron Jones, his first year on a new team, and I think he will be given those opportunities to be the guy in Minnesota. And again, I'm willing to spend a 5th, 6th round pick on a commodity that I know has had success before in the past. Moving on here, we now get to the number 2 name on our list, James Conner of the Arizona Cardinals. And Conner is somebody that, look, we are familiar with from last year. We were saying it was honestly a pretty similar situation like it is now. And that is that you were getting a starting running back around like the 6th round, where as long as James Conner can stay healthy, he's going to catch a lot of balls. He's going to be one of the top options on this offense. And, he'll give you high-end running back to production, like at worst. And, I'm looking at the situation in Arizona, and I think it's going to be yet again that type of deal. Like, yes, the Cardinals invested a higher pick in Trey Benson, but right now Conner is still the starter. And while I do like Benson potentially as a flyer at the rookie running back position, I don't think he's going to get a stranglehold on this job unless there is an injury. And sure, James Conner does have that injury factor, so you do have to take that into account. But when we do projections, we do it as if these guys play the majority of the season, full year, unless there's a pre-existing injury. So that's how we're going to treat James Conner. I think you can expect similar type of output like we saw from last year. This offense has gotten a little bit better with the addition of Marvin Harrison. The main thing is we just don't want a situation where the Arizona Cardinals offensively fall behind and abandon their run. But again, James Conner having that pass catching ability also does help. Comes in at running back 21, 70th overall player. Again, you're probably looking around the 7th round, depending on the size of your leagues there with him. But let's continue to move on here with Zamir White, maybe one of the most, controversial, hot and or cold names on your, draft list. But Zamir White, Las Vegas Raiders, no more Josh Jacobs, comes in at the running back 23, 76th overall player. He's the guy that I want to take a chance on. And I'm willing to take that chance. I realize he can be a potential bust. Maybe he's the Alexander Madison of 2024, which is scary to say, but he has the ability to be so much more as well. We saw at the end of the season, he put together some really strong games for the Raiders. So, it's a small sample size, but like he's the main guy. He's going to get all the volume. And when we're talking about this type of volume, starting running back, at this point in the draft, it's tough not to get excited about it. And again, when you take away the success he had last year at the end of the year, where the head coaching situation was kind of set in place, and we were seeing probably the Raiders that would go ahead and be utilized for the 2024 season, kind of what you might expect. I think White's going to be an integral part of this offense, so I'm willing to take a chance on him. I think he is potentially could be in for a breakout type of season. No more Josh Jacobs, and he will be given every single opportunity. That's what gets me excited. So to me, he has, out of all the guys that we've mentioned, by far and away, the highest upside, the highest ceiling. And when you're talking about this type of high ceiling, like potentially an RB1 type of finish this late in drafts, yeah, sign me up for that all day long. And now here, we're going to do a little bit of scrolling. And I want to talk about Raheem Mostert of the Miami Dolphins next. Mostert put together a top 5 season this last year. And now he is coming in as running back 28, 90th overall player. And the big reason being is one, Devon Achane, because Achane last year, rookie, he was lightning in a bottle. He was the home run hitter. He was the definition of efficiency. But what terrifies me about this Miami backfield is they typically go with the hot hand approach. They have head coaches where they're not afraid to kind of have a rotation of running backs. And I don't think it's a done deal that Raheem Mostert is just gonna go away. Now, the biggest thing again Raheem Mostert has going against him is, well, that A-Chain was hurt last year. Now he's gonna be back healthy, and they saw what they had in him. But Mostert, for the majority of his career, he struggled to stay healthy, and well, at least in recent memory. So last year, him being available for the majority of the year was kind of like the first time we had seen that. Otherwise, he had maybe an injury bug stigma surrounding him. So that is something to consider. But again, compare the draft capital of A-Chain to Raheem Mostert, and if you're forcing me to invest in this backfield and pay up an ADP of maybe a late second rounder versus, I mean, look, running back 28th, 90th overall, I mean, eighth round, give me Raheem Mostert. This reminds me a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery last season. Hell, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs this season as well. And I don't think Raheem Mostert is just going to go away. I think he'll still be utilized. Yes, he is bumped down a little bit for PPR purposes, but I think he'll still be involved. He's in a high-octane offense, so I'm willing to take a chance on him. But then, finally, the last name on our list, Zack Moss, running back 32, comes in at 102 overall. I think that is way, way too low. I think probably should be ranked somewhere in the 80s, right, for overall players. Like, to me, Zack Moss should be higher than Tony Pollard. Zack Moss should be higher than Najee, Jalen Warren, Javonte Williams. I really like Zack Moss. What the Bengals ended up doing is, they had Joe Mixon put together a top 5 season for fantasy football purposes. Then they're like, all right, cool, Joe Mixon, we're going to let you walk. And we're not really going to draft anyone. We're not really, going to go after any of these top running back free agents. We're going to go after maybe a smaller name guy that had a big year in Indianapolis filling in for Jonathan Taylor. We're going to go with Zack Moss. And didn't add too much competition. Like, I think Zack Moss is going to be the guy for the Cincinnati Bengals. With Zack Moss, to me, the main competition there is Chase Brown. That's why I did a little bit of scrolling. He's kind of like that younger, maybe more exciting name, but I think Zack Moss just has a higher pedigree. I think he's got a better track record. Better pass blocking as well. And he's coming off a really successful season. I like Zack Moss in Cincinnati. Like, to me, there's no reason why Zack Moss can't put together a similar type of year, maybe to 80% of what we saw with Joe Mixon in 2023. Again, this is an offense that you want a piece of. Cincinnati with Burrow, with Jamar Chase, decent offensive line. There's going to be points. I like Zack Moss a lot. Him and probably Zamir White are my top 2 favorite names in this breakdown. Whereas, with Zack Moss, the differentiation is, I think, we said Zamir White has the highest ceiling. I think Zack Moss has one of the highest floors out of all the names that we've mentioned. And I fully expect his ADP, maybe him and Zamir are the top 2 guys where I expect come August, come September, those ADPs to have gone up. So I am happily taking the discount on both of these guys right now when I can. But with that, we wrap up this breakdown of our 5 favorite mid-round running backs for this 2024 fantasy football season. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.